really was. I mean, for probably 2 years, a year and a half, it was hideous. When you're talking with someone and your intuition is your intuition's whispering because it whispers, but someone else is shouting at you, and you're like, you begin to think you're losing your mind. That's what happened to me anyway. So I was in that hideous place, and I didn't want to tell anyone because we'd only just got married, and I didn't want to, you know, it was, and still to this day, like, someone will say black and I'll say white. It's like you just don't. Everyone's got different truths, right? So I just lent on my feeling. It was then that I started to really tune into my heart space, and I was like, if I don't listen to my heart, I'm going to be abandoning myself forever in this marriage, and I will just get smaller and smaller, and I'll be tiptoeing on the smallest little eggshells. And my mum was never like that, and I knew I kind of almost did it for her. Really, I thought if she was around, she'd be telling me to get the hell out of there. She would. So I did. And actually, in hindsight, 'cause my children are now nearly 10 and 12, and they don't remember any of that. As far as they're concerned, they've got two happy households. They see their dad every other weekend, and we have an amicable relationship. And, they don't remember any of it. So it's great. I'm really pleased that I did have the courage to get out then, because it would have been easy to stay.
Yeah.
But the prospect of staying actually became far worse than the prospect of going.
So welcome back to another exclusive episode on the Passionate Pioneer podcast. You know me, I am the Passionate Pioneer. And today I am joined by Sacha Hughs, the author of Love, Grief, and More Sex Than Pinot. Hi, Sacha.
Hello. Hi. How are you, Beth?
I'm very well, thanks. So
Good.
for those who may not be familiar with your work, can you give us a quick introduction of yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's all very exciting, really, because I feel like the last 3 years I've just been catapulted into this new direction, and I'm now an official author with a published book. So my debut novel, as Beth kindly said, Love, Grief, and More Sex Than Pinot, it actually came out on Amazon just a couple of weeks ago. And I have got the second novel from my Soho Summers series called Soho Summers versus Love, Life, the Universe, will be out before the end of the year. So yeah, the last 3 years I've just been a happy writing hermit, creating this Soho Summers series, and absolutely loving it.
Wow. Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it, to be a writer? I mean, I love writing. I love journaling and writing poetry. And also I've written a book. I wrote it a number of years ago, and it's just about my story. It's very cathartic, isn't it, when you can get your story out into words on paper?
It's so cathartic. And I've done probably the last 10 years, I have been in a full healing mode. I had lots of years of self-sabotage, my goodness, so inspiration for lots of the book. But yeah, the last 10 years has been very much healing and sort of looking inwards. But with the writing in the last 3 years, I feel like that's been the biggest shift, because it has been so cathartic. It's just been wonderful to process any pain, that a residual pain on the pages. And actually, I feel like I've almost injected a bit of sense of humor into it all, because, with the luxury of hindsight and time and distance from some of those experiences or shared experiences with the lead character in the book, I've for myself, maybe in my healing, I've turned it all, some of it quite funny. And it's been lovely to just, release. And there's been great healing that I have had as a result of writing, which I'm so grateful for.
Yeah, it really is. Even just daily, writing down your thoughts. But the process of writing a book, the way I found it was I wrote it in pieces and then had to put the pieces together afterwards. Did you find that you had to do the same?
Kind of, yeah, in parts. It was interesting, actually, because I think I probably got the whole book down there. The very first book I wrote was absolutely my healing book. So it was my book for me to heal what I needed to heal. Largely, it was letting go of the pain of my gorgeous mum dying when I was 24, which I clung onto that pain for over 20 years. Through writing, I've been able to let it go. And it was also the massive lesson, oh my gosh, this lifelong lesson I've had of learning self-love. And through the writing, and now having my first book out, I've seen what I'm capable of, and I've got the self-love. And it's like, oh, again, thank you so much, universe. But I feel, the first book, I did have to keep going back to it and rearranging things. And also with the help of an editor, we did reorder some things, and just to make it more of a page turner, I suppose. So I have had help along the way. Yeah, and it wasn't all linear. I've had to keep coming back to it thousands of times to
Yeah.
tweak bits and
Yeah, and I remember I did the same. I started writing notes in 2016, but I didn't actually publish it until about 2019, I think. So because I
oh
kept going back to it, and
yeah.
changing things and moving things around and stuff. So let's start at the beginning of your amazing and traumatic story, Sasha, because there's always trauma in every story, or
Oh
most
yeah.
stories, right? So before you went on this healing journey, let's
Yeah.
have a look at what your life used to look like.
Okay, so my personal journey, so this isn't really related to the book. I was very lucky. I had a lovely, stable upbringing. I was the youngest of four children. Mum and dad, head over heels in love. Like everything was, on paper was perfect. I did struggle with self-belief, and I was a very nervous child, and I never really thought I was good enough. And I have no idea where that came from, but that's also something that I feel like I'm getting much better at through the writing. But what the life really wasn't so perfect was when I was 24, and my gorgeous mum, who she had a wonderful relationship with all four children and with my dad. And she was very honest, very heart-led, very deep, but fun, great fun. And so when she died, oh gosh, honestly, if I could have died that day too, I would have done, hand on heart. And I actually, for years afterwards, I felt that because I was 24. I was the youngest of four. My siblings all had husbands, wives, children, and I was in a relationship, but it really wasn't going anywhere. And I felt so unbelievably lost. That relationship ended very quickly, and I was working in recruitment. Working within the financial services industry, recruiting for compliance professionals. It was a very male-dominated environment, very boozy, which, at the time I threw myself into headfirst to numb my pain from the grief of my mum dying. And very quickly, the booze led to cocaine. So I wouldn't just go to the after parties, I'll go to the after parties. And living in London, there was always an after party. I could sniff them out, And so I'd often rock up at my desk, might not have even had much sleep the night before. Quick brush off of your suit. It's amazing how you can look the part when you squirt a bit of perfume on and some lipstick, and I'd crack on with my working day. And it was like that for years. And I was kidding myself. I put on the party face, the clown face. I don't think anyone really realized the depth of my misery. And I was forever running away from myself, from my life, from my grief. And I was constantly looking for the love of my life, the Mr. Right, the knight in shining armor to come along and fix me and save me. And I had no idea that I was responsible for that. So I gave my power away to every single man. I always thought a smile meant his destiny. I was headfirst into love's messiest lessons, but I have got great inspiration for writing my book.
Right.
So yes, that was then. And then I did end up marrying. I met my so-called Mr. Right. And the first year or so was brilliant. We had a child very quickly, got married quickly. But when I was about 6 months pregnant with my second child, it was just all the trust in the relationship had gone. And a year later, I filed for divorce. And that really was the breakdown that led to my breakthrough, because I knew with two gorgeous children, and my mum was an amazing mum. She was very present, very hands-on, and I was absolutely going to try to be the very best mum I could to my two. So instead of sinking like I did when mum died, it was my time to really start reading all the self-help books I could, the spiritual books I could. I devoured everything, and I could, that was really the game changer for me.
Right. So that was the moment, that you knew you had to, you had to be there. You've got responsibilities now. You've got children.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes. And
So that,
and isn't it funny how, and I'm so blessed for my children. And, I know some people, it's awful if they can't have them, and that's hideous. And I don't know where I would be if I couldn't, because they have been my rocks and reason to rise. And I don't know how I would have been had I not had to, if they weren't in my life at that time. I like to think I would have gone down the healthier route, but who knows? You just don't know, do you?
No, I don't know because I'm adopted. So my parents
Oh,
tried to
oh,
have
bless you.
children
Yeah.
for a long time, and then eventually they adopted myself and my brother.
Oh, that makes you even more special and
It
wanted.
does, right?
Yeah,
And that's exactly
100%.
how we felt, and that's exactly what they told us.
Oh,
So,
brilliant. Yeah.
but yes, I think that, it's for you, to actually go through that whole process of being pregnant and, realizing that you're giving birth to, you know, someone new, a baby.
Yes, yeah.
It's something that's a part of you, I think is a huge kicker, isn't it, to change something
It
fundamental.
it really is. And I feel, and actually through some of the reading stuff I've done, I read somewhere that the first enemy a child meets is an unhealed parent. And that really stuck with me because I've had, as I alluded to before, one of the biggest lessons I've had to learn is this whole self-love. And I've had that awful monkey mind in my head that I'm not good enough and the self-sabotaging thoughts, like, almost trying to convince myself that I deserve to be born in the first place. And I just don't want my children to have that. So I've been digging deep and doing all of this nitty gritty work, not just for myself, but so that I can hopefully lead by example for them and give them that whole, make them feel complete by themselves and not think that they have to find the man or a partner to complete them, that you are here and your life's your responsibility and you're the one that can make you happy. Yeah.
I think the first courageous move you made probably was deciding that you needed a divorce. Because
Yeah.
most parents, you see, a
Oh,
lot of
yeah.
parents years ago would stay together just for the children. But like you said, that beautiful quote, the
Yeah.
child's first impression is
Is the
an
first
unhappy
enemy is an
parent,
unhealed parent. Yeah.
yeah, an
Yeah.
unhealed parent. And so you basically took that courageous step. I think that was the first step towards uh,
Yeah.
redemption.
That really was. I mean, for probably 2 years, a year and a half, it was hideous. When you're talking with someone and your intuition is your intuition's whispering because it whispers, but someone else is shouting at you, and you're like, you begin to think you're losing your mind. That's what happened to me anyway. So I was in that hideous place, and I didn't want to tell anyone because we'd only just got married, and I didn't want to, you know, I it was, and still to this day, like, someone will say black and I'll say white. It's like you just don't. Everyone's got different truths, right? So I just lent on my feeling. It was then that I started to really tune into my heart space, and I was like, if I don't listen to my heart, I'm going to be abandoning myself forever in this marriage, and I will just get smaller and smaller, and I'll be tiptoeing on the smallest little eggshells. And my mum was never like that, and I knew I kind of almost did it for her. Really, I thought if she was around, she'd be telling me to get the hell out of there. She would. So I did. And actually, in hindsight, because my children are now nearly 10 and 12, and they don't remember any of that. As far as they're concerned, they've got two happy households. They see their dad every other weekend, and we have an amicable relationship. And they don't remember any of it. So it's great. I'm really pleased that I did have the courage to get out then, because it would have been easy to stay.
Yeah.
But the prospect of staying actually became far worse than the prospect of going.
Well, and I love the fact that you touched on the peer pressure and the fact that we don't, we our own intuition is drowned by the noise of our peers and other people's opinions, and we always seem to, most people throughout their life, trust everybody else's opinion, everybody else's voice,
Yeah, you do, don't you?
except for their own.
I know. Why is that? And also, I don't know whether you have ever been a people pleaser, but
There's an epidemic of it, Sacha.
yeah,
There's an epidemic
there is, isn't it?
of people
Isn't
pleasing.
there?
It's depleting. It depletes your energy. We're giving all the time. It's one of the first questions that I always ask women that come to me for advice is,
Yeah.
where are you on your schedule? Are you
Well, this is
putting
true.
yourself first?
Yeah.
Because we're always people pleasing, and we're giving our energy away to people all day.
All the time, exactly. And I think I was either born a people pleaser, I was conditioned to be one. I just grew up as one. That was kind of my role, the peacemaker. Like, yeah. And so in the marriage, I hated the conflict, so I didn't really want it. So then you end up Oh, it was just a lie. It was all, it just felt like I was living a lie.
Well, you
And
obviously put in a boundary, didn't you? Said no, because people pleasing is all about just put up and shut up,
yeah, yeah,
right? And just do
exactly.
what everybody else wants you to do. And the
Oh,
moment where you put the boundary in and you say, okay, no thanks, I don't want
yeah,
any more of this.
this
y-
is, yeah.
Other people, then they're not very happy with you, right? You find because you said
They're
no,
not.
because you're not pleasing them, you're pleasing yourself, and that's what people pleasing. The turnaround is all about.
It is. And once I'm finding the less, I don't feel like I am a people pleaser anymore. And I love it. I'm thinking, why didn't I do this sooner? Like, and like you said, you give away your life force, don't you? Your energy to people if you're doing that all the time. And actually, I
All the
feel like we
time.
all should be working on ourselves. It's all an inward journey. And then once we get the insides right, the outer world's going to reflect that. So if everyone's working on themselves and healing themselves, it's going to be a much more peaceful place anyway.
It's a scary journey though, Sasha, right? When
Oh,
you
I
want
know.
to open that can of worms and find out, self-awareness, accountability, who am I? What
Oh,
do I want?
yeah.
What do I really want? What does joy mean for me? When you start opening that kind of worms, most women don't. It's a fine line between really wanting to know and really wanting to know, because once you can't put it back in the box
It's
once you know.
so true. Mm. Once you've reached a level of awareness, you can't unknow it, can you?
Correct?
And actually, for me, it's become quite addictive. It's almost like my new drug, I suppose, this whole peeling back the layers of who am I? Who am I? And
Yeah.
yeah, it's like I'm finding it and now quite playful in a way, but certainly like we're opening the can of worms. Once for me, once you're in, you're in. There's no going back. And yeah, I'm on this journey now forever. And
Yeah.
there's always going to be surprises.
Yeah. And I'm
Yeah.
finding more and more of that in the wellness industry, is that, there are um, so many different types of healing modalities.
Mm.
It's quite confusing, isn't it? It can be confusing. You've got to find your own path.
I think it can be very confusing. And initially it was reading all the books. So Sue Stone was a lovely one. Her first book I ever read called Love Life, Live Life. And she was on her knees at one point. And I thought, gosh, if she can do this, I can do this. But she was talking about her marriage crumbling. And then I got into all of the Hayes House, like Louise Hay, Wayne Dyer, 𝐂𝐻𝐡 Tolle. And I was reading things about letting go, the power of now, power of meditation, trusting your intuition, um, forgiveness of self and others. And it was as if suddenly there was this whole new world out there. I always knew, I think my job in recruitment and stuff, I never understood why everyone seemed engaged in meetings. And I would sit there thinking, like, I don't understand this. I'll pretend I'm working and I'll pretend I'm trying as hard as I can. But seriously, totally and utterly lost on me. All I wanted was a ring on my finger. And I've now realized that I was looking for the depth. I'm looking for the connection. And what's happening through the healing I'm doing is I'm realizing the connection is with me. I am that
Absolutely.
depth. I'm the connection. I'm the love. I'm the love. And yeah, and it's such a revelation when you get to that stage. It's taken 10 years for me. It takes a long time, but when you do, it's so worth it.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more, but it doesn't come without its own challenges. And I think for you,
No.
the most courageous thing was taking that first step to make sure that, your children and
Mm,
yourself, you put yourselves first and not
yeah.
people pleasing. But you talked about your mother being a great role model.
Mm,
And I think that's what you were looking for, is to be a great role model for the women or the generation coming up behind us.
yeah, it's exactly. I think at the moment, I feel like I found my purpose, which I'm delighted with, which was writing the book. But now I almost feel like the purpose is transitioning and it's becoming, I've got this fire in my belly that I want people to just realize that, yeah, it's your own journey, it's your own heart, it's your own feelings. You lean into your feelings. They're the things that are going to guide you. And yeah, just don't worry, don't think about other people. We're so conditioned, aren't we, to always try to people please or tick the boxes or exceed the expectations put upon us. But it's
Exactly,
all
those those
nonsense.
those boxes. I mean, I talked about the healing modalities, and a healing modality could be anything. And it's
Yeah,
just, I
yeah,
just say, just do you. What do you like? And
yeah.
Sasha, you found healing in the writing journey.
Yes, yeah,
you
very
know,
much.
and other people would find healing in a painting journey
This is so
or
true. Yeah.
or music or some other type of creativity that feeds your soul.
Yeah, definitely. I do also, I've definitely found healing in meditating as well. And it actually, that has coincided a lot with the writing of my book. So I did meditate I used to do guided meditations when I broke up with my ex-husband. But the last 3 years, it's been more sitting in silence and just seeing, kind of tuning into my heart space. And I feel like this Soho Summers series, lots of the inspiration for that has come through my meditating. And it's just, I feel like that's a real grounding thing for me. Like I used to go to all the gong baths and full moon ceremonies and, like groups, yoga groups and things like that. And I loved it at the time and it all has its place. But right at the moment, I feel like my healing is much more solitary. Like it's much more just me with me. Who knows? It might change. Things do, don't they?
That also takes a while to get to because I'm quite like that as well. I mean, I've started as most of us do, and I would recommend it to anybody, is the guided meditations. And,
Yeah.
I always laugh because I think I started off, I could only do about 1 minute and then my
Oh,
monkey mind would kick in and,
yeah.
but I think that that's a great way to start
Yeah.
tuning into your own voice and your own intuition and
Yeah,
your
definitely.
heart space.
Yeah, I think so. Everything has a place, doesn't it? It's
Yeah.
and nothing's linear, and people can pick up things at different times, and it's like you say, it's just what feels right, what works for you. And if it's not sitting with you, then you move on, you try something else. There is so much out there to do.
So tell me then the transition from the world that you were working in,
Yes.
which was a corporate environment, I suppose, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So when did you decide that, to leave that path? Because when you decide to change and go solo or be a writer or an entrepreneur, it's quite a lonely path. So how did you deal with that? Tell us about that transition.
I suppose I th because it actually stemmed from having the children, and my mum, like she did work, but when we were younger she didn't. And I think again it's the conditioning, isn't it? You do what you know. So my ex-husband and I at the time, we both agreed that I would be the primary carer for the kids up until they started school. So that's quite a big chunk of time, isn't it? And luckily, because I've been in my job in recruitment for over 10 years, and it was a shareholding company, and so they kind of did look after me a little bit when I left. I didn't go back after maternity leave. And we had, we were able to financially just about make that work. And then once both children were at school, I mean, I've been divorced and single then for about 5 or 6 years. I just started doing like odd temporary jobs. Everyone said, oh, why don't you get back into recruitment? But by this stage, we'd moved to Paul in Dorset. And I know the job of recruitment. It's a 5-day job. It's long hours. If you want to be any good at it and earn money, you've got to put the hours in. And my priorities were my children, and I wanted to be there at school pickup, and I wanted to be the hands-on mummy that my mum was. So it was to try to get a job that flitted around that. So yeah, I was just doing odd bits, but nothing that lit me up. I felt a bit surplus, really. I had the beautiful kids as my purpose, but in terms of a career purpose, and I used to worry about the empty nest syndrome, and it was that sense of lack of worth, and who am I without my children and being a mum? Like, what on earth do I offer this life? Nothing. Like, I felt a bit worthless. However, then when was it? Yeah, with the starting to doing the writing 3 years ago, and that was off the back of going on holiday. I actually had a chance encounter with someone who, it was the most mind-blowing connection, just beautiful. And we met on the first night and spent a whole week together. Felt like a honeymoon I never saw coming. And we knew we could never be together long term because he lived in a different country and I was in the UK and children involved. So I because I'd done quite a lot of work on myself, when I came back from that, I just thought, I don't want to be upset for having to say goodbye to this gentleman. I want to turn this into an amazing gift. And we'd actually spoken about one of us writing a book about our experiences. And so when I came back, I just started to put pen to paper. And I was so inspired by our week together. And I was like, I think I can write a book inspired by our time. And then suddenly I was like, actually, I could probably write a book inspired by my experiences back in the self-sabotage years, because there's a hell of a story in there. And so then I had this Soho Summers series, and it was that's how I got into the writing. And through that came the sense of purpose, a sense of worth, a sense of belief. And I'm no longer worried about the empty nest syndrome when my kids do leave the nest, because I'm birthing my third baby. That's how it feels.
That's fabulous. How fabulous. And, you know, there's no such thing as coincidence. There's only synchronicities.
Yes.
And I'm guessing that found you, divine timing, that found you at the right time when you were ready.
Yeah, it was. And I feel the connection with this gentleman was, some people, because I do see a lot of energy healers and intuitives, and they have said, they don't know each other independently. They've all said, you do realize that was a twin flame. And whether they're right or not, who knows? All I know is I came back from that week with him and I suddenly was vroom. I was off and I was writing. And apparently that's the twin flame relationship, is to get somebody completely on their soul path. And it's like I've just got this, again, the fire in my belly that these books are coming out, whether I like it or not. And I have got no place to be fearful or to get in my own way. It's happening.
They can also be quite challenging as well, twin flame relationships.
Yeah.
When you're together, because you push each other to be better. And sometimes that's so really true. Uncomfortable.
Yeah. And I think had we spent longer together, then that would have been the case. But we never really got the chance to find that out. So, yeah.
So do you still keep in contact with him? Yes?
No.
Oh.
Don't. No.
Isn't that strange? So that was a reason, a season or a lifetime.
Yeah, exactly.
Friends are there, people in your life, reason, season, lifetime, we say, right?
This is so true. Yeah.
So that was the reason, twin flame reason to put you onto your path. Amazing.
But the lovely thing is I've almost turned it, because it was, I look back with such gratitude for that time. And it was, the funny thing was, I'd always been, even up until that point, I was always still looking for the guy, right? I was divorced, but I was thinking, well, the next one's going to come along. The next one will be the right one, because I've done all this work on myself and it'll be amazing. But then suddenly when I met this guy on holiday, I was so grateful to be single, because if I was in a marriage or I was in a relationship, I would never have been able to say yes to him on that boat in the Adriatic and had this mind-blowing experience. So it suddenly changed. When I came back from that, I was grateful to be single. And it's I've just poured all of the energy that I used to pour into trying to find the love into my book and loving myself. And yeah, in terms of men and things like that, I haven't got time or the inclination or anything. I'm too busy. I've never been too busy before. And it makes me laugh when I hear myself say that, but it's true. Like, I love what I'm doing.
Love appears when you're really not looking for it, right?
Yeah.
When you're busy lifing.
Exactly. And you're not searching and chasing, and you become a magnet, you attract it.
Yeah, exactly. Hi, I just wanted to pop on here just to say thank you so much for being here, watching this video and supporting my channel. It is my honor to bring you these stories from these incredible women who are passionate about their lives and have alchemized their spiritual awakening journeys from service to self to service to others. If you would like to be part of my Passionista community, just grab a free copy of my workbook, which you'll find a link below. It's called Your Passionista Journey Starts Here. And start making those small changes to your life that you need right now. Thank you again for being here. Love you to subscribe and hit the notification button so that you know when all the new weekly episodes are live. Thanks again, Passionista. Much love and joy. Now let's get back to the interview. So how did this feel then? So you had this experience on holiday, and then you came back and you started writing. So that's a huge leap. And how did that feel in your body?
I just had this inner, for the first time in my life, I had an inner knowing that I was going to be okay, that I was going to make my life okay. That finally, it was like I was taking the helm of my life and I knew that I would make this work. I don't know why. I don't know why I had it, but I just knew that this was going to be good. It felt like I was aligned, and everything since the whole of the writing, everything has flowed beautifully. The right people have come, the right opportunities. Nothing has been hard. And I haven't, and again, it's weird that I haven't had any fear around it. I haven't had self-doubt. I haven't had any writer's block. It's just been, yeah, amazing. So I felt almost like nice and calm about it. And yeah, like as if it feels right. It feels right.
It's the joy, isn't it? It's the joy, and it's the knowing without knowing. That's the soul. That's when your soul is aligned. It's the knowing without knowing. Everything just flows. If it's difficult, if you're finding it difficult and it's not flowing and you keep getting blocked, it's not for you. And that's just the universe's way. But otherwise, you've got those lovely synchronicities and people you meet and these things that just automatically happen.
Yeah, which is wonderful. And I do, in my meditations, I do say, like, please light up, or I keep saying, please, thank you for lighting up the way. And, thank you for making this easy. And thank you for the right words coming at the right time and the right people. And I can't explain it really. I do feel like I'm just being guided with this, and as if someone's holding my hand. And it is really exciting, but I'm trying very hard not to get attached to the outcome, because I have done all the work and the reading, and I know I don't want to be attached to outcome, but I'm just trusting. Like you say, you're trusting without the knowing, or without knowing exactly where it's headed, but you just know you're headed in the right direction.
Yeah. It's actually we would call it just staying in the joy process.
Yeah.
Staying in the moment.
Yeah.
Right? Staying in the joy of the writing and the new thoughts that come to you. Gosh, don't we have amazing imaginations as humans? It's just amazing, right?
It
is staying in that joy moment, right?
Definitely. And there's been moments where I might have written a chapter or something, and I'll go to the beach just to kind of clear my head, and I can feel my heart chakra buzzing. And I even said to one of my sisters, I was like, and it's ridiculous, but I was like, I feel like, don't even know why I use this guy. I feel like Harry Styles might feel like after he's just done a massive concert at the O2 or something. And all I've done is write a chapter in my book, but the joy and the excitement and the buzz inside me is huge. Yeah. And it's not adrenaline fight or flight. It's more like adrenaline, like go, 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 like get your wings and keep flapping. Like, this is good. Right. It's crazy.
Yeah. I love that. That's very spiritually aligned, isn't it? And you've obviously found your purpose for now.
Yeah.
Because who knows what the future holds, right?
I know, exactly. And I'm excited. And the lovely thing with this book is it's connecting me with gorgeous people like you. I feel like, because I've been quite, the last few years, I have been a very, quite solitary person. And I realize I naturally am like that. And I've been happy with that. But I'm meeting really lovely people, to have these sorts of conversations where you're straight into the depth and the bones of it is amazing. And so I'm really grateful for that.
I know, yeah. I love it. And I'm so grateful for the amount of female-led podcasts at the moment. It's just amazing, just women supporting other women and cheering and saying, oh my God, that's just amazing. Well done, you. And, because together we rise.
Well, this is true.
Together we rise, right? This is, and it's okay to take those solitary moments, and it's okay to applaud yourself and congratulate yourself, and and other people doing it as well is nice, but it's nice that you feel comfortable in your own skin.
Yeah, and that's been a big lesson, because for years I wasn't. I always thought I needed somebody, but I've got so used to I'm now in that lovely place where you're alone but not lonely. And again, that's so freeing. It's such a gift. It's wonderful.
I know, it's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's lovely. So how do you balance this Like you said, you took yourself off to the beach. Now that's lovely. That's a nice
Yeah,
experience so that you're close to the water then. I guess that's
mm,
important to you.
very much.
Um,
Yeah.
and I live in the mountains, but I've got the sea, Adriatic
Oh,
Sea, about 40 minutes away from me. So
oh my goodness, gorgeous. Where do you live?
I live in Italy,
Oh, check
in the
you out.
mountains,
How wonderful.
and so I'm surrounded by nature. Now
Oh,
that's what my soul needs.
yeah, that's lovely.
Um,
Heaven.
so that's not everybody. You don't have to run away to the mountains to find yourself.
Yeah,
It's just that's what my soul needs, that peace and that the
yeah,
nature to plug in.
yeah, yeah,
Um, so how do you balance, the being the mom and the writer and now you've got to go out, you've got to promote yourself. How do you balance all that with staying spiritually plugged in, shall we
yeah.
say?
That's a good question. I do without fail every day as an absolute priority. I do meditate for generally about 20 minutes, and I love that because you're saying plugged in. I feel like then like I am plugging in my soul to this universal power socket, and it's just charging me up, even if like nothing's coming through at the time or it's just peaceful and calm. I'd still know I am charging myself up with whatever this universal power is. And so I do that religiously. I tend to do that. I don't really do that in the mornings, but I think that's because the mornings are quite busy with the children. And when I was knee deep in writing my books, I would usually get up about 4 o'clock in the morning. It was like all these ideas would just, as soon as I woke up, I was like, bing, and I couldn't stop. So I've rushed down to my laptop. And that was really good because that was like ring fence time for about 3 hours every morning, writing before the kids got up. And then yeah, I write throughout the day. So I'm really backing myself with this right now. I'm not doing any sort of temp jobs in the background. I'm giving this writing my all. And with the children, yeah, they often have clubs, well, not clubs, they've often have play dates actually after school round at mine because they don't mind because I'm at my laptop a lot. So they're like, can I have another biscuit? Yes, of course you can. Do you know what I mean? I'm not kind of controlling them or anything. I'm happy doing what I'm doing and I just let them almost get on with it. And then, yeah, I make sure I spend loads of time with them, and our evenings are always sacred and special and together. And I do make sure during the day that I always go out for a walk, even if it's just 40 minutes. And I'm lucky because I live by the beach in Poole and I sit on a favorite rock and I do my affirmations and I say my prayers and my thank yous and gratitudes. And I almost feel like if I don't get to that spot on that rock every day and connect with, even if it's gale force winds and torrential rain, I have to one time of the day sit on that rock and look out to sea and just connect. And that's golden.
That's what we call a joy practice.
Oh
And
yeah,
once it becomes part of your daily routine, it's a habit. You formed a habit,
yeah.
and that's
And
amazing.
it's soul food, isn't it? Like, and I don't, if anyone says, oh, do you want to go for a walk with me? I kind of always say no, because like for me, that's my time. It's my time. So yeah. So I do balance it. But then now throwing in the whole getting visible with the book coming out, there's a lot, like I've got these lovely podcasts and things going on. So I am finding like I've got more balls to juggle, which is good and I'm loving it all. But equally, I'm probably a little bit more pressured at the moment, but I know I can do this. I'm ready for it, and I'm trusting that it will all. It's all good.
So it's all
I can
part of the
handle it.
plan, right? It's all
Yeah,
part of the plan.
yeah.
And you've got to promote yourself and you've got to promote the book. And I
Mm,
do, and that is going to be a little bit more pressure, but just look at it as an experience, and it's all part
yeah,
of the joy journey,
exactly. That's
right?
exactly what I am. Yeah, and I'm trusting that I'm where I'm supposed to be, and that I
Yeah.
have got space. I've done quite a lot of work on regulating your nervous system. I know how important it is to not be in that fight or flight. So I'm just trusting that I can hold all of this. I'm ready to hold it and not push it away or.
So,
Yeah.
okay, so let's talk about because you just touched on the no, saying no, and that's part of the stepping away from the people pleasing, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
tell us about a time that you recently had to say no to an opportunity because it really wasn't passing your
Didn't feel
personal,
right.
but no, it didn't feel right. Yes.
Oh, okay. There was one actually. Right. this was quite interesting because it was a few months ago, before I'd started any of the PR, my book was actually published. But a magazine approached me and said, would I like to write an article? And I was very eager, this budding author to be, and thought, oh, great, this could be great exposure. And they liked the title of the book. And then they were saying, we would like, from your own personal experience, numbers. And I was like, what do you mean numbers? And they were like, of, men and the sexual encounters and things like that. And so I really, at the time, I was almost like, you're reducing me to that person. And even though it was quite interesting, and I did have to tune into me and sit on it for a weekend. That was the other thing. They were very pressured. I think they approached me on the Friday and they're like, well, we want to do it on the Monday. So they weren't giving me any time really to think it through. But I ended up saying no to that because I was like, actually, then there's going to be me on Google, Sacha Hughs, done this. I'm like, that's not what I'm about. I'm about the girl who's had the self-sabotage and is learning and has learnt the self-love and has written this book. And it's about the healing. It's about the journey. It's not about that stuff. And so I realized the energy was all dark and icky and no. So I said no.
Right.
Even though potentially I could have got, publicity from it and I could have got sales from it, it wasn't right.
Nice. Isn't that lovely when you can say no to that opportunity because you can tune into the energy because you've learned to understand your intuition and tune into your heart space and understand there's something not quite right.
Yeah, it felt a bit like they were just being I don't know, like, feeding off parasites, feeding off a carcass or something like that, and they want to get to the dark nitty gritty, and I'm like, no, like, no.
Just no. That's
just
no.
No.
It's a full sentence. No.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so that's really lovely that you've now tuned into your intuition. So tell us a little bit about the book. Let's take this opportunity where you can talk about the book and the story, because I love it more sex than Pinot. I'm just like, I'm not a Pinot Grigio girl. I never was, but I totally understand. I totally get the quote. Yes. Yeah.
So it's been described as very much like Fleabag or Bridget Jones meets Fleabag. And so if people like either of those two or both of them, fantastic, they will love the book. So there's some book reviewers. So it's gone out with lots and lots of professional book reviewers actually, and lots of them have come back saying it's a bit like Bridget Jones and Fleabag had a child, had a love child, and give it loads of wine and this love child has no idea about how to live life, and you watch the chaos unfold. So it's about a girl called Soho Summers, and I came up with the name because I thought the London district of Soho is naughty, and and she comes from a well-to-do family, but her name was Soho, and
right.
And I like the alliteration with Summers. It's like it rolls off the tongue really nicely. And it's really just following her, following the death of her lovely mum and how she is trying to work in the corporate world, and she's got her 5 best friends, the wino worms in tow, who are constantly on the quest to find someone for Soho to love. She falls headfirst into love. She loves everyone. She loves every single guy she ever meets. But then there is a bedroom incident, which does spark a painful journey of healing and discovery, which she's really been pushing off, but it was necessary. So she goes off on this big healing mission. And then along comes this hunk, Warren Williams, who is a Australian stud muffin, and armed with champagne and sweet nothings, and wants to whisk her off her feet. And the whole thing is Soho Summers ready, or she's not ready, or is she? And it kind of takes you off on this journey. But the essence of it is someone going through love, loss, hope, and realizing that the only person that can ever really save you is you.
Wow. So really, you've melded or blended some of your story into fiction. That's what you've done, right? So it's basically, because you're writing the book from experience.
I am, and I feel like I'm writing it, or it's inspired by experience. I feel like because it was a healing book, and also because I do write from the heart. I've wanted to write from, so I feel like I can only really write about things that I've I know about, or that people, that other close friends have experienced and have shared with me. And yeah, it is a very gloriously human, messy, heartfelt book.
Well, that's the messy journey of life, isn't it?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
And we
Yeah.
do tend to write and coach and teach, from experience and what we've been through ourselves.
Yeah. I
That's
think
what we're best at.
you do, there's that saying, isn't there, that you grow through what you go through. And I feel like I definitely have. And someone said to me the other day, would you, if you could have not gone through any of these awful experiences, would you? And I'm in this place. I'm like, actually, no, I think I would, because they've walked me to where I am today. You know, they sowed the awareness, seeds of the awareness that I've got now. So it's almost like what's it called? Like walking through the fire. I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes it feels like trudging through treacle.
Oh God, yeah. It really does, which is why you want to drink and do whatever you do to numb yourself from it, don't you?
Right, right.
Yeah.
Well, because you're trying to find your joy, aren't you? Trying to find the joy moments. If it's missing from your life and you're completely depleted of joy, we try and find that in other medicine, alcohol, drugs. Yeah, that's gambling. We try
Yeah,
and find that joy with something external.
it's so true.
But it
But
all
now
starts with within, right? Which
I know, I get it does. It's yeah, I've learned that big time. And that's what I'm really passionate about, sharing that message.
Yeah.
Because yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. But it is a journey. It's a journey of
Mm,
self,
yes, yeah. And
right?
the remembrance, isn't it? Where
Yeah.
you remember who you were before the world told you who to be.
Absolutely. Who you are before the world gave you a to-do list,
Yeah, yeah. So
right?
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. If you could, Sasha, if you could go back to a version of you in the past, what's the first thing that you would whisper in her ear?
It would be you you are enough. You are so enough. You are wonderful. You're enough. There was even a time in the past where I was going to have tattooed on my wrist, I am enough. I just never felt it. So I would
No.
want to just say, you're so enough. And for whatever reason, because I am into the spiritual side and I do feel like we have soul contracts. And I feel like I'm hoping that I've had quite a karmic heavy first half of my life. And that now I've reached this stage, I'm hoping and trusting that things are going to flow much better now. But yeah, I would say to my younger self that, yeah, know your worth and follow your heart. Follow your heart.
Yeah, that's lovely. And I think that, but I don't think you would be here now in this position if you hadn't gone through all of
No.
that. I think you have to go through that experience to come out of the other side and to
Yeah,
realize, hold on a minute.
I know. It's so
What's
true.
happening here, or what has happened, or what's gone on,
Yeah,
or and have
yeah,
that realization, right? It's that wake up call, that spiritual turning point.
yes, absolutely. Which is why, and then also I do think with my children, because I'm trying to teach them all of this stuff in a childlike way. But then I know that they've got their own journeys and paths, and I'm just going to have to stand back and be there for them if they want me. But also they've got to go and any mistakes, you've got messages in them, haven't you? And you have to you do the
Yeah.
experience of the gift of life, and it's it's not punishment. It's to let you grow, evolve, and wake up and
Yeah,
yeah.
you see, I'm not a parent, but I do understand that, telling a child, oh, I'll protect you, I'll always be, yeah, is not necessarily the best advice because they've
No,
got to go through their own experiences,
they
right?
really do. But I feel like that's going to be a challenge for me in
Right.
my parenting. And I also know, I used to say, oh, I'll protect you, be there forever. But I equally know that you could never promise that, can you? Because you just don't know with things. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Cross that bridge when it
Cross
all
that
comes.
bridge, right?
Yeah.
But it's nice that you do have that relationship, and they've also got the relationship with the father, and
Yes.
so they've got that balance in their life, and they can see happiness and joy
Yes,
from both of
absolutely.
you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, why do you think ditching the ditching the status quo and moving away into this creative life, something that we have both
Yeah.
we've both dove into. What's the most courageous and necessary thing that a woman could do in this year of 2026?
I would say I feel like this year is very much a year of authenticity and speaking your truth, finding your voice. Yeah. And just it's about, are you in relationships because you feel obligated to be in them, or marriages or toxic friendships, or because out of obligation, or or they're controlling you, or you're scared to leave? Like, if there's anything that's not authentic, I would say walk away from it, because you need to make space for the right opportunities and people to arrive, and they can't arrive if it's already overloaded. You need to clear your energy, don't you? Energy field. So it's, yeah.
Absolutely. I feel like I've got one more question. I feel like you've
Yeah.
just answered it, which is what is the one truth that you want to leave as a legacy for the women watching your journey?
Sorry, I've pausing,
Right.
trying to think of the best, because when you're like, there's so many you could say, but the one truth, so the legacy
That you want to leave as a legacy for women watching your journey. What's one thing you want them to know, to remember?
you are so powerful. You're so powerful. You've got more power in your little finger than you realize, and don't, yeah, stop with the people pleasing, putting people on pedestals. Just, yeah, tune in and know your power. You're here for a reason. You've got something to offer this world. So, yeah.
Very nice. Beautifully said. Beautifully said. So I'm going to ask you a few questions here,
Okay.
just about a few things about joy. What's one book or spiritual tool that changed everything for you?
I would say, actually, again, sorry if I'm pausing. It's because there's a lot
Yeah,
that I
there's a
want to
lot.
leave it.
I've got a whole list of books that I
Yeah.
can just reel off. Right?
It's not because I'm like, flatlining, I can't think. It's more, which one do I choose? Like a pick a mix. I think that it would be, because this was a real revelation to me at the time when I understood it, was that we're not our thoughts. We're the awareness behind our thoughts. So that really helped me when I had all these awful self-sabotage thoughts, which I thought were true. I believed them. And then when I realized actually I'm the person observing those thoughts, then I have the power to change those thoughts. And it was something like, every time I had a negative thought would come in, I would notice it. I began to really notice them. And then I would think the exact opposite positive thought. So it might be, oh my God, I'm never going to afford to be divorced. I'm going to end up penniless and on the streets. And I'll be like, I will have so much financial freedom. My life is going to be amazing. But it's noticing the thoughts. And that for me has been really powerful and a game changer.
It is, isn't it? It's amazing, the words, because when we talk about health and the wellness industry, it's not just about pumping iron at the gym. It's not just about the food that you eat. It's the words that you say to yourself as well.
Yeah.
Right? So
Absolutely.
that's a really
Yeah.
lovely observation. And what's one thing that you used to value that you've now realized was just clutter and no longer
The
wanted?
whole, gosh, or pretty much all my life, up until this encounter with this gentleman, it was always to have the marriage, to have, tick the box of the family home, of the white picket fence, of the 2 cars on the driveway, all of that stuff. And now I feel so free that I don't have any of that. And I realized that was all just conditioning. That was all through peers and family situations and reading books and rom-coms and things like that. Like, actually, I'm realizing that the greatest love story for me is with myself, and I don't need any of that stuff. And that's really freeing and liberating. And yeah, whereas for years I've honestly believed that I needed the guy, I needed that stability, I needed to tick all of those boxes. And now I don't.
That's a great observation, because I don't like rom-coms at all. But it
No,
is the savior coming to save you, isn't it?
always.
That's what they're all about,
Yeah.
right?
And maybe that was designed that way to make women lose their power,
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're not having it anymore. We're taking our power back.
Yeah, exactly. Gentle warriors.
So, okay, so final question. What does
Hmm.
following the joy mean to you in one sentence?
Knowing yourself. Yeah, really knowing yourself and having the courage to show up to the world as your authentic self. Because when you are, it's very joyful. And I know that because I've reached this level where I really am my authentic self, and I'm having these lovely conversations and stay here with you. And it's been nothing but joy. And I haven't had to put a mask on, haven't had to perform, I haven't had to prepare, I haven't had to stress. It's wonderful. So
Just a natural conversation talking about what you're doing at the moment, which is joyful, right?
Exactly.
Very natural. Wonderful, Sacha. So where can people find more about you and buy your book or your books?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, exactly. So the first book, Love, Grief, and More Sex Than Pinot, is on Amazon right now on Kindle and paperback. And I will be doing a audio, which I'm going to read. So I'm excited about that, but I'm not sure when that's all going to be happening yet. And then I'm on Instagram, just Sacha Hughes on Instagram. I have an author Sacha Hughes Facebook page, and then my website, sachahughes.com. So yeah. And
Wonderful.
I'd love to connect with people. Like, thank you so much for letting me be on this podcast, and thank you to all the listeners. And yeah, just kind of really look forward to connecting with, you vibe attracts your tribe, doesn't it? So I'm trusting
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. A million thanks to Sacha for joining me today. Thanks to our audience for hanging out with us. We hope you find it inspiring and empowering. Well, of course you did. And to find out more about either Sacha or myself, you can find everything you need to know in the show notes below. So until next time, this is the Passionate Pioneer and Sacha saying goodbye.
Bye. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Wow. Another powerful Passionista conversation. I hope that this guest's journey, experience, and story has inspired something deep within you. Remember, it's about following the joy moments in your life. It's a beautiful dance with the universe. If you would like to dive deeper into your joy journey with me, you will find all the links below this video, including a link to a free workbook that will help you to start your joy journey. And until next time, Passionista, I'll say goodbye. Much love and joy.